Hey everyone, Sword is here. Hope you're having a great day. I don't know why I keep introducing myself. It's not like anyone else looks like this. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker. Note to self, note, there will be non-spoilers at first, and then I'm going to do a little bit of spoilers. So this is kind of going to be a spoiler review. The first weekend is over. As of right now, where I'm recording this on Sunday evening. But by the time I upload this video, it's going to be Monday, so everyone probably would have seen it by now, at least for the ones that want to see it that aren't boycotting the film. Uh, Unfortunately, I wasn't able to wear my Star Wars t-shirt or hoodie that I ordered in the mail because it's Christmas time, so what do you expect? But I was able to get my Star Wars hat. As you can see, there you go. And I wore this to the theater, so I had the Star Wars thing. So, yeah. And when I walked out the theater, the first thing I did was this. No, I was kidding. I didn't do that. I didn't hide the hat. I didn't hide the hat. I was looking at the critics' score on Rotten Tomatoes when I actually got out of the theater after I finished seeing the movie yesterday, and I think the critic score is still sitting at a 57%, and the audience score is sitting at a much higher percent. Let's go ahead and check that out now. And then I'll get into what I thought about the film. But first off, going with what I thought about the other films. The other Star Wars film, I like Star Wars. I'm deep into the Star Wars lore, comic books, you know, I love Star Wars and all that. Haven't really read much of the recent comic books, so most of the stuff that I've been getting have been off of YouTube. You know, people like Star Wars Theory and Star Wars Explained, Star Wars Comics or whatever he's calling himself now, Lore Master, you know, legit people like that that know what they're talking about. And all right, so yeah, so as you can see, I can show you what I'm talking about. I probably might put a screenshot up there on the screen at some point. This isn't, I'm not doing this on a script or anything like that. This is totally my opinion. I didn't write anything down before I started recording this. That's why my thoughts are all over the place. I still got the film stuck in my head. So, as you can see in the critic score, the movie's sitting at a 57%, okay, and with the audience score, it's sitting at about an 86%, which is a stark contrast to what The Last Jedi was, where critics was just overwhelmed with it. I don't think I ever made a review on The Last Jedi. I think I kind of avoided that. I think Solo and Rogue One I made a review on, and I said, you know, I like those films well enough. I really do like Rogue One. I thought it was great. Solo, I thought it was okay, completely unnecessary. And so that takes care of the side films. But yeah, you see that the audience and critic score are kind of like up and down, right? And where I said The Last Jedi was definitely different. Me, as far as the, well, I'm going to go back to what I thought about the prequels and stuff. I thought they was okay. I'm not really that crazy for the prequels, although I do love the Star Wars, the Clone Wars series. That if it wasn't for that TV series, both of them, both the one that's considered Legends right now, which is the 2D animated one, and the 3D one, which I love that more. If it wasn't for those animated series, I probably wouldn't care about the prequels at all. I thought they was poorly acted, and even though, yeah, they had great actors in it, but it's just, besides the cool lightsaber battles, I wasn't really, you know, like, that crazy for them. As I got older, has my opinion gotten better? Well, I've watched the films again on Disney Plus, and Disney Plus is great, by the way. I really like it, and I went through the Phantom Menace and I made it through like half of the Attack of the Clones. I was just like, okay, time to put on Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith is the best one out of the prequels. That we can all agree on. So the Phantom Menace, I just thought was, at the time when I saw it as a kid, even I was kind of bored with it. It came out in 1999, so I was about 8 or 9 when the movie first dropped, and I'm 28 now, so even to me at the time it was kind of boring. It wasn't until the Darth Maul fight showed up, and I thought that was pretty cool. And then Darth Maul was killed off supposedly, and I was just like, okay, well, that's it. I'm sad that Liam Neeson died. I knew who Liam Neeson was, so I was happy that he was in the film, but he died anyway. Then Attack of the Clones, I thought was okay. At the time when I was a kid, it was my favorite one. Now I find it boring because the Anakin and Padme stuff just seems just so. I mean, I don't care for their love story too much, even though it's a tragedy when it happens in Revenge of the Sith, which is definitely the best one. The originals, talking to episode 4 through 6, I love them. Perfect. Those are my favorite Star Wars films, the originals. And yes, I saw those first before I saw the prequels and, of course, the sequel trilogy. So I've been a Star Wars fan for as long as I can remember, mostly because my parents were Star Wars fans too. Yeah, so I would say the weakest out of the originals was always the third movie, Return of the Jedi, which is funny because the prequels ended strong with Revenge of the Sith. And the originals didn't end badly. It ended strong, but Return of the Jedi with the whole Ewoks helping to take down the Empire, and I just, even as a kid, I was like, okay, that's a little silly, but I always found the Ewoks kind of annoying. Actually, as I got older, I started to tolerate them a little bit more. But now we got the sequel trilogy, and I like The Force Awakens. I'm just going to say it. I like The Force Awakens. Was it a rehash of A New Hope? Yeah, a lot of it. But I liked it. I thought, like, hey, if this universe was to continue its story, this will probably be the storyline it'll go through. Next to what they do in the comic books, like the Legends comic books, was really interesting. But yeah, this would be something that I could see happening, Yeah. And of course we had Han Solo being killed off, but Harrison Ford always wanted that, so I knew that was going to happen. And of course, I shed a tear for about a year before Rogue One came out. And, I already talked about Rogue One and Solo, Star Wars story, so I'm not going to go back into that. Then The Last Jedi came out, and that's when the fans started getting divided. Because when The Force Awakens was around, everyone was like, it was only like a minor set of people that was just like, yeah, I don't like what Disney's doing, blah, blah, blah. But the fan base wasn't as divided as it was when The Last Jedi came out. And my opinion on The Last Jedi, it's possibly, oh man, I would say as a movie, it's well shot. It's very well acted. It's fine. All these new actors do really well. I love these. I love John Boyega, Daisy Ripley. Adam Driver's fantastic. The guy is absolutely amazing. He can never go wrong for me as far as his acting ability. And then, of course, you have the older actors, which was Carrie Fisher, Mark Hamill, and the rest of them. Fantastic. I love them. I didn't care for The Last Jedi that much. As a Star Wars fan, I didn't. I think that it kind of destroyed a lot of what the characters represent, especially the original characters. Luke Skywalker, if you guys don't know, Luke Skywalker is my favorite Star Wars character out of all the Star Wars lore. I was never really that big an Anakin fan, although I love Darth Vader, and as a kid, I always loved Darth Vader. And then seeing, like, Anakin and where he, turned into, I was like, okay, when does it get to the part where he actually becomes Darth Vader? Because Anakin's freaking annoying. But thank God for the Star Wars Clone Wars TV series. Thank goodness I finally got that. I think I'll put a skip feature on this so people can get to the actual review. So that's what it was in The Last Jedi, and that's how I felt about all the previous films. Originals, love them. They're perfect to me. Not entirely perfect, but I love them. Prequels, I always thought they was okay, and I still think they're always okay. My opinion has not changed. The sequel trilogy started off in strong, and then it started slowly declining. Now you got The Rise of Skywalker, which I mentioned the critic score, and I mentioned the audience score. Now, I'm kind of right there in the middle, whereas the audience gave it like over 80%, and the critic score gave it close to 60%. I'm possibly at a, if I was going to go Rotten Tomatoes score, I was possibly be at a 68%. My friend, he just seen the video, good lord. He just seen the movie, and his opinion on it, on a scale of 1 through 10, he gave it a 7. And we was always talking about the ending and stuff like that, which I'm going to get into in spoilers in a minute. But Now, the reason why I'm not showing any clips or doing anything crazy with this video is because of copyright, so this isn't going to be like how my Joker one is. This is going to be the last review I'm going to do for this year, 2019. 2019's almost over, baby. Now, this is it. This is the last review. I don't know what I'm going to do for 2020. 2020 is going to be very busy, but I'll talk about that another time. So, the Rise of Skywalker. Yeah, if I had to go with my friend's scaling as far as the movie goes, I'm in where 6.5 would be, so I'm kind of in between a 6 and a 7 out of 10. In terms of stars, probably about 2.5. Yeah, like, as a Star Wars fan, it did satisfy a lot of questions that I had, although raising more questions. Not that much, by the way. If I had 100 questions I wanted answer in this film, I would say about 95% of them got answered, and there's only about 4 questions left. Like, how did Maz get Anakin's lightsaber? You know, stuff like that. What did Finn want to tell Rey? Although we already knew what he wanted to tell Rey. You know, it's minor stuff like that, which can be resolved in a comic book. Obviously, it's Disney. They're going to market it somehow. But where I'm like, okay, come on. You threw everything else into this movie and the kitchen sink. You're all over the place in the beginning. You might as well just say that. But, you know, they're going to leave it for marketing and they're going to do some other stuff with it. And I can see that happening. That's fine. Maybe The Mandalorian might fill in some gaps or something since it's supposed to go into the Rise of the First Order. So, we'll see what happens with that. We'll see how that goes. There's different places that they can take this. We're getting an Obi-Wan TV series, and they were supposed to have some more Star Wars movies coming out later on in the years, like 2022 and beyond. And there was already talk about there being an episode 10. Like, we're moving away from the Skywalker saga, so it probably won't have it. So it's not gonna have anything to do with the Skywalkers, considering how the movie ends. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that. All right, so that's pretty much it for the non-spoilers. Everything else after this is going to be spoilers. So, and I want to talk about this stuff a little bit. I would say spoilers. Spoiler alert here. So if you don't want to hear any more, that's it. That's my opinion on it. I thought it was slightly above average. I thought it was a satisfying conclusion to the sequel trilogy, to the entire Skywalker saga as a whole. Yeah, it did end it. But at the same time, was it satisfying? No, and I think that's because The Last Jedi went into a direction that J.J. Abrams obviously didn't want to go into. I think he had a different vision and a different plan, and I think Rian Johnson coming in just kind of messed it up. But hey, you know what? It happens. That's what you get for hiring multiple directors, and you should have just had it planned out from the beginning. But, you know, if they wanted to do it that way, they wanted to do something different, so I give them credit for doing that. Yeah, if you're going to do something different, you should have left that for the side stuff, you know, kind of like how you did with Rogue One and Solo, a Star Wars story, and you kept firing directors anyway, so... Anywho, getting back to it, yeah, so that's where I stand on The Rise of Skywalker as far as non-spoilers. Now I gotta go into spoilers, because everything in here is a spoiler. Okay, so the movie starts basically with this text crawl, which is just straight up saying, hey, Palpatine's back, you know, as, you know, we didn't know that from the marketing, as he was always there. Yeah, I'm sure he was. He was always in the film. He was always the villain pulling the strings. Not that I had a problem with Palpatine being the overall villain of the entire Skywalker saga. That's fine. The fact that he was never really established beforehand, and then they just kind of threw him in and said, "Oh yeah, you know, I've been every voice that's been inside your head, Ben Solo, and that's how I was able to manipulate you." I'm like, good lord, man. I was like, okay, you know what? I can suspend my, you know, disbelief right here. I can believe that. There's some stuff that I can believe. Then there's some other stuff that I can't believe, like when Rey uses the Force to try to pull a ship out of the sky. And she actually does that. I mean, like, not as crazy as Starkiller does it in The Force Unleashed, but it's pretty much there. Like, it's pulling from Legends material. Force heal. I've seen people talk about Force heal a lot. She does it twice in the film. And Kylo Ren does it once in the film. Force heal is a Legends thing. That's always been there. That's nothing special to me. I don't know why people were so surprised by that. Oh, Force heal, Force heal. Baby Yoda did it in The Mandalorian too. You know. Oh shit. Sorry. Spoiler for The Mandalorian. Sorry for cussing too. If you frown on that sort of thing, I know YouTube does. So the Force heal thing didn't bother me. That's Legend stuff. So Disney's pulling stuff from Legends, good. I actually think that's good. You know, maybe we might get an Old Republic something or another. Disney, maybe we might do something that the fans really want. Anyway, so that too as well. Rey as a character is definitely overpowered. She's completely overpowered. Not once did I think that she's gonna lose any fight in here. She does fight Kylo Ren again, and she does kind of get her ass kicked because Kylo's like properly trained now. You know, he's like fully trained up. So yeah, he does sort of beat her. She's even like, oh man, you know, like this guy's pretty strong, and I'm like, come on, you're Rey. You know, you get your strength from somewhere. Turns out she does get her strength from somewhere, not from the fact that Leia becomes her master and she's training her, and she trains her for like about a year. Which this movie takes place like a year or so, I'm pretty sure, after The Last Jedi. So it's not picking up directly after, it's picking up sometime after that. So they do show Rey training, and she's actually gotten even better, you know. But in the beginning, she was already very decent because she had no real prior training besides, I guess, using her staff, and she was already pretty amazing. Now she's just even more amazing. So, of course, nothing in the universe could stop her. We're not going to go down the whole she's a Mary Sue route. I don't want to go down that argument because I don't really have a problem with the character. As a fan, I don't care. I've seen way more OP people in Star Wars Legends, but yet people let that pass. You know, Star Wars... The Legends comics, they have such ridiculous crap in it, and yet people are okay with that, and pretty much half of that I thought was stupid. And that doesn't mean that this movie does it any better, you know? I mean, it can still be stupid. There's some stuff in here that I don't agree is, should be in Star Wars. But, anyway, yeah, so she does her training and all that, and she's absolutely amazing now, but turns out, more spoiler, Rey is a Palpatine. How cool is that, huh? Yeah, there was no other way you could have done that. There was literally no other way. I was like, she's either a Skywalker or she's a Palpatine. But with all this sexual tension going on between her and Kylo Ren and throughout these movies, well, at least especially this movie, she has to be related to someone from like the previous cast, and it's Palpatine. She's Palpatine's granddaughter. Okay, so that raises another questions about Palpatine's offspring. Who is Palpatine's offspring? Where has he been all this time? Why did he leave Rey on Jakku? Okay, so we did get a flashback of why he left Rey on Jakku. He just seems mostly like a nobody. Like, this seems like they just pulled a random actor off the street and then just got him to do that. It's like, hey, random guy, come here. You're gonna be Rey's father. Hey, random woman, come here. You're gonna be Rey's mother. You're gonna get one line. And that's it. We know nothing about these people. I want to know more about them. Was he force sensitive? Was he not? And when was he born? Palpatine is like really old. I don't, there's some things that doesn't make sense. And then Palpatine is just like, how did I survive? Well, the dark side is a pathway to many abilities that people will consider, that some may consider unnatural. Okay, that's explaining that how you survive, but not exactly showing how you survive. Okay, so we don't fully know how Palpatine came back. We can just assume that it's the same way Darth Maul did. Fan service. No, I'm kidding. He used the power of his hatred to keep him alive, but whereas Darth Maul lost his mind and had to regain his mind and his memories and everything, I guess Palpatine was strong enough in the dark side that it was just completely okay for him to do so. Sure, why not? Let's go with that. Palpatine's back. I like him. He's pretty cool in the film, and he's just downright evil, diabolical. Like, this is a guy that cannot be redeemed. Unlike Kylo Ren, who does get redeemed. There's actually a very good cameo from Harrison Ford, which I really didn't think that he would enjoy playing Han Solo again, but he's not like BSing. Like he's putting it his all in this little cameo that he does when he actually talks to Ben, and he doesn't come back as a Force ghost. I don't know where people are getting that he's a Force ghost. No, he literally says like, you know, I'm just a memory of your father, you know. And basically, it was Kylo talking to his conscience, his self-conscious, and trying to bring himself to the light side, and seeing how Leia passed away, and she passed away very oddly in the film. She just like says, "Ben, lay down," and then she dies. But you know, Carrie Fisher is gone already, so in real life, I guess that was the only way that they could send her off, and all the stuff that they do with the Carrie with Leia stuff, with Carrie Fisher stuff, is actually very nice, and a lot of people aren't talking about that. I think they did that very well, especially with the footage that they had to work with. I think they edited that in very well, and I really like that. So a nice send off, guys, a nice send off to her. Yeah, Luke Skywalker is actually Luke Skywalker in this film. Holy crap, the concept isn't that hard. Luke Skywalker is very likable in this film, unlike where The Last Jedi, he's only likable for like the last third or the last 5 freaking minutes of the film, and then he dies anyway, so it's like, okay, why? What? And I don't know. I'm gonna avoid The Last Jedi crap, because even this film sort of like retcons a good bit of stuff that The Last Jedi did, is sort of say like, okay, you know what, a lot of fans didn't like The Last Jedi, so we're just gonna say things like, there's a part when Rey's about to throw the lightsaber away, like she's about to destroy Anakin's lightsaber, and she chucks it, and Luke's Force Ghost catches it in his hand. He's like, "This is a weapon of a Jedi. A weapon of a Jedi should be treated much better than this." And I was just like, "Yes, all right, we already started off. The first line Luke Skywalker has in this film is already better than his character throughout the majority of The Last Jedi." It's amazing how one person can get a character so wrong and another person can get a character so right, but at the same time throwing so much exposition and so many edits in the beginning of this film that it feels like the film's literally on a racetrack. Like J.J. Abrams is trying to make his own Episode 8, trying to correct the mistakes of the previous film while also doing Episode 9. And I feel as though like the second half, I definitely agree, the second half gets much better. And I'm going to go into the ending right now, how they actually defeat Palpatine. So Palpatine sucks out the essence of Rey and Kylo at the same time. Kylo, who has finally been brought back to the light side and shows some badassery along the way. So they confront Palpatine, at least try to confront him together. He sucks out some of their essence. He starts to, I wouldn't say grow younger, but he regenerates, which is pretty cool. So you got Force regeneration, Force heal, and then you also have, I guess, Force essence removal. I'm pretty sure that was an ability like in the Old Republic. I'm not sure. I gotta play that game again. I'm actually playing the MMO Star Wars: The Old Republic. It's actually pretty fun. And I'm pretty sure that that's an ability there where you suck out someone's essence. Anyway, it's a dark side ability. It's a dark side power, and he does it. He uses their essence, their life force, to regenerate himself through the power of the Force. Okay, pretty cool. You know, a little weird, but not as weird as when Star Wars Rebels talked about the whole time travel thing. I was just like, well, this can retcon so many stuff, but. Star Wars Rebels handles that well, but that's a whole nother Star Wars thing I don't want to get into. Oh, where do I go from here? So Kylo Ren gets knocked down a hole, right? And he's the first one to get up, which shows that he's actually stronger than Rey, since he's the first one to recover from Palpatine's attack. Palpatine's like, "You will be the last Skywalker." Vroom! Uses the Force, pushes him away. He falls into a crevice. Then Rey. And then after Palpatine, just from using Force lightning, sends a whole storm up in the sky. completely shocking every single ship up there. Of course, anyone that's not part of his enormous fleet that you've seen in the trailers. There's a whole bunch of rebel ships that decide to come and help finally, thanks to Lando, which I love seeing Billy D. Williams in this. He seemed like he was having fun. I wish he was in it a lot more. I actually wish he was in The Last Jedi or something like that. I wish he was able to interact with the other actors before, you know, the untimely passaways and stuff like that. And I would have loved to see them all have like one photo shoot together. Anyway, of course, you need somebody of the original cast to do this. We also get a cameo from Wedge, from the same actor who played Wedge in like the original trilogy. It was so good to see him too. So thumbs up for that. That's what I'm saying. Some of the fan service, it's so stupidly fan servicey. Fan servicey, if that's even a word. It's so stupid with its fan service, but I love it. That last portion of the film is just batshit insane, and then like the whole second half, the pacing is better. It's like, okay, now we're finally in episode 9. After we finish going from this world to this world to this world, now we're finally in episode 9. And you know what? Even with the first half, I can follow it pretty well. And if you listen closely, you can actually hear the names of the planets and the towns that they went to. I heard people saying like, hey, did they even mention the towns or the planets that they went to? They did, but they mentioned it after it was either destroyed or they left the planet. But anyway, you know, I can follow it just fine. I didn't find it like, oh, you know, there's too much going on. I don't understand what's happening. I was invested. I followed it very well. And this is me not even giving it a high rating, and I still was able to follow it well. So what does that tell you? So after that, Rey talks to every single, well, at least what you would consider the most important Jedi through the Force, and you can hear all their voices giving Rey their powers, saying, "Get up, Rey! You can do this. The Force is with you. I'm with you." You can hear Anakin, Hayden Christensen, Mace Windu, Samuel Jackson, Frank Oz, Yoda. Of course, Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker. You can even hear Ahsoka. When I heard Ahsoka's voice and Kanan's voice from Star Wars Rebels, played by both Freddie Prinze Jr. and Ashley Atkinson, I was like, oh man, that is so cool. It's like, finally. So that's showing that maybe Ahsoka died. I'm sad, but I guess, you know, age, that does make sense. Or maybe they might tell us how Ahsoka passed away in like comic books or another TV show or something. Who knows? But I do like that Ahsoka and Kanan was put in there to show that, hey, the animated stuff actually is important and it does bridge the gap. So Star Wars Rebels and the Clone Wars, you know, it actually is part of this universe's canon. We consider it canon. So once again, thank you J.J. Abrams for putting that in there. It was fan servicey as hell, but even hearing Mace Windu's voice, it's like, you know, hey, kick his ass, you know. Just them all wanting for Palpatine destroyed. But where was my boy Plo Koon, man? Where was Plo Koon? I love Plo Koon. They didn't put Plo Koon in there, but you know, some Jedi was one with the Force, and some Jedi, I guess, didn't make it. But that's fine. And also Qui-Gon. So they even got Liam Neeson to come back just to do one line. James Earl Jones did one line, and he owned that one line too. So yeah, so those was all the cameos that people was talking about. So their voices that Rey hear. I wish they showed up as Force Ghosts just so that we can physically see them in the film, but that's fine. Maybe that was in another version of the movie. Maybe we might get a director's cut. I would love to see an extended version of this. This is the problem with the film. It needed to be extended. It was long, but it wasn't long enough. It needed to be like an Avengers Endgame long. Then it wouldn't have felt so rushed and weirdly edited in the beginning at points because of this. Because production-wise, it's a fine movie. Cinematography-wise, it's an amazing looking film. Special effects are fantastic. Some of these shots are really good. And I'm just like, I'm kind of half invested into it. And then like the rest of the film, I was wholly invested into it. So yeah, so from there, okay, let me check the time on the camera. Let me see how long I got. Oh, I'm speaking for 29 minutes. This is gonna be the longest review. This is the long one here. So and then from there, Rey gets up, activates her lightsaber, and then activates a second lightsaber, which I think was both like Luke and Leia's lightsaber. Yeah, there was a flashback with Luke and Leia when they was training when they was teenagers. That was very cute. That was very cool. They said they wasn't going to CGI Carrie Fisher, but looks like they did it anyway. But anyway, no one's talking about that flashback. I thought that flashback was awesome, showing that like he did train Leia, even though the comic books mentioned that he did train Leia in the ways of the Jedi. So she activates one lightsaber, activates another lightsaber. I wish I had my lightsaber so I could show you guys. Activate one lightsaber and another lightsaber, and Palpatine was like, oh, so you think you can defeat me? I am all the power of the Sith. And he just sends out Force Lightning. She blocks it with one lightsaber and then blocks it with the second one. And she says, I am all. And I am all the Jedi. And I was about to say, she says, and I am Iron Man. I'm going to freaking lose it. But she says, I am all the Jedi. And he's just like, what? And bam, she just knocks the lightning back on his face. But it's like a slow burn, a slow death where I'm just like, he's just kind of disintegrating. There's pieces of him flying off. And I'm saying to myself, why doesn't he just stop the lightning? Like, he just keeps it going. It just goes, ah, no! And then it explodes, and then the fleet is like, oh, crap, the Emperor's dead, and then they get completely wiped out without the Emperor's help. And okay, so yeah, so his death was, like I said, it was kind of lame. It was kind of stupid. I think that they could have went about it differently, especially having Kylo there or somebody else, or like, even if Kylo was going to be knocked back or something like that, you could have brought in the Force Ghost or something. Who would have loved if that scene where Kylo was speaking to Han, instead of Han, it's Anakin. Or maybe he speaks to Han first and then Anakin shows up or something. Or maybe Anakin could have been trying to communicate with him, trying to block out Palpatine throughout the movie. There's many different ways you could have incorporated this, but at the same time, we got a satisfying ending with Rey taking on the surname of Skywalker rather than Palpatine, because honestly, if my last name was the same as Space Hitler, I would not want to be a part of that either, so I honestly don't blame her. But I'm definitely going to look at Return of the Jedi a lot differently now, because knowing that Palpatine is eventually going to come back years later, so I don't think this ruins Anakin's redemption arc either, because 5 and 6, especially 1 through 3, or even 1 through 6, is their own thing. I think anywhere after 6 is about their children. It's about the next generation coming into their own. And spoiler again, well, we're already in spoilers. Kylo Ren dies after reviving Rey, because apparently doing that to Palpatine, destroying him, took a lot out of her, enough for her to die. And so he put his Force essence into her, bringing her back to life, and then he dies, but he's permanently dead. And you think that she would have just did the same thing for him. I guess they would have been going back and forth, dying, one person dying, one person living. I was like, oh, okay. Maybe if you wait a little longer and healed up and then try to do the Force essence transfer, I don't know, maybe it would have worked. Regardless of the fact, he became one with the Force, same as Leia and Luke, who's already one with the Force. So there you go. There you go. And then that's pretty much the end. She buries Anakin's lightsaber as well as Luke's lightsaber in the sand. And she actually takes out her own lightsaber, which looks pretty cool. It's like a cut-off version of her staff, and she twists a knob to turn it on. It's kind of yellowish orange. It's like a Jedi Temple Sentinel. It's a Sentinel lightsaber color. We haven't seen that on screen before. But I don't think, not counting the Clone Wars, I don't think we've ever seen that on like live action before. So that looked pretty cool. Too bad. I would love to see her fight with that lightsaber. I'd love to see it in action, but it's whatever. So a lady asks, and she's on Tatooine when she does this, bury Anakin's lightsaber. And a woman asks, well, no one's been here for a long time, just a random lady. And she says, what's your name? She says, my name's Rey. And she sees Luke and Leia, who are both Force ghosts, and she smiles and says, Rey Skywalker, which I'm okay with. I knew she was probably going to take the Skywalker name. And that's it. That's the rise of Skywalker. It ends where it all begins. A force sensitive that's part of the Skywalker saga, looking out to the twin suns. Don't know what the future may hold. But that's it. That was the end of the Skywalkers with Ben dead. Alright, so yeah, that's my review and my little explanation, my exposition dump of the film. Excuse me. Overall, yeah, like I said, I had fun. I enjoyed it. I really don't care what anybody else thinks on that matter. I enjoyed the film. Was it perfect? No. Did it have problems? Yes. Yes, it had problems, especially the pacing. But overall, there's nothing too crazy, you know, about it. If you go in not already caring about these characters, you're not going to be persuaded in any way to care about them anymore. They're still doing the same thing and acting the same way with the same mannerisms that they did in the other films. Okay, The Last Jedi may have destroyed some character flaws, but may have to destroy some characters and creating more flaws, but the newer characters pretty much stayed intact. It's mostly the original characters which I had a problem with. Although Lando didn't die, Chewbacca didn't die, so we still have our originals there. C-3PO and R2-D2 made it through the entire series. I am so happy. Oh man, I know Anthony Daniels is like, oh man, this is a freaking roller coaster. I'm like one of the only ones next to Billy D. Williams who's been through all of this stuff. And I guess, you know, James Earl Jones, you know, voice was in there too. And that's it. That's it. All right, so that's it. I enjoyed the film. I had a good time, and I'm going to go see it again. And at the same time, if you're a Star Wars fan, I say check it out. But otherwise, yeah, if you want to boycott it, boycott it. I can see both sides of the spectrum in this. I can see people who don't like it, and I can see people that like it. All right, so let's see how long we've been going on for. We're going to go check the camera. We've been talking for 36 minutes. I think it's time to end this. All right, so there you go. Spoiler and non-spoiler talk. I think I might break this up into 2 parts, or I might not. It all depends. The rendering will be much easier for this if I done so. But now, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. Now, I still love Star Wars. I can't wait to see what the future holds. Now, since that we're done with the Skywalker saga, Disney can do their own thing, which is what they really wanted to do. Obviously, that's why they didn't go with George Lucas stuff. And yeah, that's it. All right, I'll catch you guys in the next one. And as always, may the Force be with you. Take care, everyone. Have a blessed day, and I'll see you next year. Take care. Oh yeah, and I forgot to mention, watch The Mandalorian. The show is fantastic. We only got 1 episode left, but only 8 episodes. I can't believe it. All right, that's it. Take care. I'm done. I'm flicking off.